Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Hearts of Iron 4 Formable Nation. Did you know it's actually been 6 years since the release of Formable Nations, all the way back with Waking the Tiger? And all the way forward in 2024, Trial of Allegiance gave us 4 more ways to play with Formable Nations. Previously I covered how you can form the island of Hispaniola, and today we're going to be covering the reworked version, United States of Central America. Hopefully none of the nations that we're going to be dealing with today are too difficult, but it is worth mentioning just before we begin. On the left we can actually now see the different DLCs that we've got installed. You might notice that 3 of the DLCs are no longer here. That's because they've been integrated into the base game, Together for Victory, Death for Dishonor, and Waking the Tiger. Waking the Tiger, of course, being the DLC that added Formable Nations, so I guess Formable Nations are base game now. But enough dawdling, let's get a look at our country of choice, El Salvador. In a region filled exclusively with democratic and non-aligned nations, you could pick between Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua or Costa Rica, but El Salvador starts off fast, and that means fast justifications, so you can get straight into the action. San Salvador, El Salvador, San Salvador, El Salvador. So before we begin on our great conquest, let's take a look at everything we need to achieve to form the Federal Republic. We're going to need Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua and Costa Rica, but the new content we aim to acquire is actually unlocked after we form the formable nation. The next thing to bear in mind is that in terms of difficulty, the strongest players are actually at the top, between Honduras and Guatemala. Nicaragua and Costa Rica are actually the easier two to face. For that reason, it might be within our interest to actually begin all the way down in Panama and then come all the way back up again towards Guatemala. And so to do this, we're probably going to need some submarines. And of course, transport ships. And now to pick the focus. So yes. Going into this video, I decided that what I wanted to do was play through the game using the new Hovalax's generic focus tree mod that I just created. As the game seems more open to reworking older content now, such as we saw with Yugoslavia and Romania, there is a hope that the generic focus tree might see some more love with some additional things to do and some updates. In the meantime, I decided to create a focus tree of my own, the product of which you can see here, which was really guided by, I'd say, like 5 key principles. The first is that it had to feel authentic to the original generic focus tree, so when you play it, there will be changes of course, but the core structure, the way it looks, the way it feels, should feel very vanilla to you. So political effort goes into collectivist ethos, you've got your nationalism, internationalism, neutrality, a lot of the key things you'll recognise are still here. There's militarism, civs on the left, mills on the right, all should kind of be here as it's remembered. This mod should now be available on the workshop, I think. Maybe there'll be a link in the description if you did want to play it, but that's the mod I'm going to be using for this playthrough. So returning back to the world of El Salvador, you can see we've begun to set up some naval invasions, going for the left and right side of Panama because the Americans have kind of cut us off in the middle, and even though we don't require Panama to form the formable nation, it is a very useful starting ground as it's so easy to take. I have 1 dockyard on convoys for the invasion, and the remaining 2 are going towards submarines. Once we get them up and running, we'll start importing some iron so we can actually build them faster. On the political side, the most important thing we can actually do now is get our chief of army. It seems to be the most important advisor you can get in the early game, which is why it's kind of surprising that not every nation in the game has any military staff. For example, a lot of the releasable nations in the game do have things like political advisors for ideology because there's a rule to generate them, but that isn't the case with military staff. So nations like Slovenia over here, they don't even start with a chief of army or anything. The same is true over here with Silesia and also with Kashubia, meaning that if you want to play these nations, your ability to generate army XP, navy XP and air XP is hugely debilitated. Hopefully one day, that kind of bug, I want to call it, but maybe more so an oversight, will be fixed. But luckily for us, El Salvador does have a chief of army. The only civ we have is going towards iron. My goodness, why is it always the micronations that are just just selling themselves out for steel. Okay, and there we go. The justification for Panama is complete, and I'm happy to say we did get at least one submarine out before we begin. So the operation is quite straightforward. The war is declared. 2 units first have to head to San Jose de David. This will coax out the unit that's currently hiding in Panama. There we see him, sitting on Panama. Luckily we have vision, so we know exactly what he's doing. At this point, he should have left Panama and be on his way to San Jose, so you can send out the second unit to go take capital of Panama. There we go. He's just arrived and we can instantly get him with effectively no AUG on his own city. And without even taking San Jose, we win. Instantly, we should get started on our next 2 justifications. There isn't any rest for the wicked until we close our eyes for good. I think a very sort of beginner mistake that some of you may run into and you should keep in mind is just quickly make a division of 2 cavalry and call it something like MP. Then go into Panama and make sure that you change your garrison division template to the very cheap one, because otherwise you're going to be using the same garrison for everything and it's going to drain your manpower. Remember, of course, never to sleep on doctrines, also important, but especially because it lets you get a Spirit of the Academy. With this you can actually choose who you want as your generals. As you see here, I haven't actually picked any yet, but now that I can, there it is, we can get engineer officers and similar such traits. Oh, we even rolled a level 2 guy. Not too bad, not too bad. So, who's ready for a quick stint into Costa Rica? I mean, it should be easy enough, but here's a little tip. El Salvador has no war support, but if you save up enough political power, just these micro wars that you're doing can allow you to get war propaganda and start stacking weekly war support. Just try to bear it in mind that saving political power to take war propaganda is really worth it. So, naval invading San Jose while our units keep them pinned on this tile. I mean, that was simple enough. Easy peasy. On to Nicaragua. So Nicaragua might be more of a problem. It's the first nation in your lineup that will actually start having some troops with real equipment. Here we can see some artillery and some infantry. My hope is that by focusing on a naval invasion of Blue Fields, which seems like a very nice place for a town, they're not going to have as much on their capital, meaning we can do a solid strike straight through the line. Okay, justification is complete. With that all done, I'm immediately going to get started on Honduras and even Guatemala. I'm operating purely on the assumption that I am going to win, but I should probably make sure one of these units is actually trained. Okay, let us begin. I have full confidence in my naval invasion. Oh my, and I should have had way more confidence in just the sheer pushing power of my units. If we can open up another front, that would make things 10 times easier. Oh, I think we just instantly took the capital. That is a very bendy looking El Salvador. Still, onwards and upwards. So, the next target. The nature of fighting Honduras is best done through 2 different fronts, because there's no other way of facing it. Their capital is on a mountain. As such, this can risk being the grindiest of all of the conflicts that you're going to be engaging in. It's even worth considering getting mountaineers just to push this single tile. Thanks to taking war propaganda and some world tension, we can actually move up to partial mobilization. We were on civilian economy for a pretty long time. My country says that I've run out of trains, but I don't even know what a train is. An unfortunate development. Okay, the justification is ready. I guess it just depends how much more time we want to spend on training our troops. No time like the present. Let's see how well we can do. So, some green in the north on both accounts, but we're not attacking the capital. We're getting a bit shaky over here. Right, okay. 1 unit coming off the capital. That seems like the time for a counter-offense. And now counter-offensing on this side and this side. That's looking like some greens to me. I wasn't sweating for a minute. And then there was one. The last nation on our list is Guatemala. And with some positivity, we have grown considerably. But so have they. and that is a considerable amount of troops. So, what's the play? Well, remember, all we need is the capital, and it's luckily located on a plain, which has a combat width of 70. So my goal is basically to push through these 2 tiles as quickly as we can, and then have 3 tiles to open up the combat width against Guatemala, and really push in as hard as we can. How successful we're going to be may be another story entirely, but let's take a look. The moment of truth. Okay, so some red on the capital, but some green in the north. Kind of to be expected that they'd fortify this place. Okay, we've pushed in. Interestingly, they've actually chosen to fortify the mountain instead of this tile. So it looks like we're going to have to focus all of our forces on Guatemala. Okay, they're attacking me. That is good. That means one of their units has just lost all of their entrenchment and org, which means a counterattack, and then a push on the other side, and that is a particularly green bubble. Just wait for them to attack you. Ooh, they're losing everything. And that is that. And so, after some long unification wars, the time has come to reconstitute the Federal Republic. And additionally, we actually get to see what the 2 new decisions are for the Central American Empire that brought us here today. The first one, incorporate Panama. Now Panama, just by owning this country, we can get a call on it and the Panama Canal, which is pretty important because it means if you wanted to go to war with, let's say, the United States, you now have a core state that you can go straight in for in 100 days. We of course also now have a claim on British Honduras. Not that we can do anything with Belize, there's no decision to ask for it or anything. That would just be a war with the Allies. The final decision is incorporate the Republic of the Yucatan, in which we get a core on the state of Yucatan, which is this Mexican peninsula over here. The thing is, it requires going to war with Mexico, and I'm genuinely unsure how much power we have in comparison. Regardless, a necessary first step to ascending the world stage. So the manpower has shot up. That's a good start. We're going to need every bit of manpower we can get. In total, they're fielding what could be anywhere. Oh, I'm going to say less than 24 divisions, but barely less than 24 divisions. For all intensive purposes, let's say 24, bang on. If we're going to even attempt to take them on, we're probably going to need 24 divisions of our own. Now logically, there is an intention that we should probably start justifying them, oh god, it's gone up, sooner rather than later, but the problem is our threat is currently at 7.2, and to conquer them it's 4, so we're probably going to need to wait until our threat is down from 7.2 to the low 5%. Let's just hope they don't join the Allies in that time. Oh, the justification time has gone down, it's 3% now, and we're at 5.5. Well, I guess there's no time like now. Now this could be an absolute failure. I want everybody to realise I am no expert and their units are super better than mine. Oh, the Brazilian good neighbour policy. We can be friends, Brazil. One of the nice changes about the generic focus tree rework is that militarism and military youth are usually 2 separate national spirits, but because of the focus tree, it actually combines the recruitable population from military youth and just adds it onto militarism, so you don't have as many national spirits kind of clogging up the menu here. Oh, so that's what a train is. I did wonder. And there goes World War II. Oh no. Luckily, the United Mexican States are not in the Allies, but their total troop count is probably around 30 now. Our troop count is something similar, but the balance of power is only slightly in our favour, and it's worth noting that they have an actual air force. In this conflict, I can offer no guarantees of success, but let's see what we can do all the same. That is not looking good. Most interestingly, the Japanese have invited us to a faction. Do we want Mexico in the Chinese faction? I mean, we could keep it there just for a little bit, just to see how we do. Oh, it does look like they're defending their ports. That was my worst case scenario. You know what? I don't think this is lost actually. I think there's hope. I mean, it's a very slim chance at hope, especially with situations like this, but hey, that's a push in down here too. Oh my goodness, are you taking the Yucatan? I'm not going to join the Japanese. Wow, an encirclement. Honestly, I'm so surprised with how well this is going. Maybe Mexico is just not as strong as I think it is. Or maybe they've got a large concentration of units down in the south. We're actually taking the Yucatan. Wow. That means this is a success. I don't care if I don't take down Mexico. This is a win. But I am going to take down Mexico. I really don't understand. How are they struggling so much in their own territory? It must be doctrines, right? Like unit composition and doctrines. Oh god, they're about to get encircled. So, with the Yucatan claimed, does that mean, oh my goodness it does, incorporate the Republic of the Yucatan? That should mean this is now my core territory? Yes it is. What do we think of the war situation? Do we think this is going well? I mean, truth be told, it could be going a lot worse, couldn't it? If we secure this port, that is 8 encircled units, and that has to be GG. Oh no 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 no. Mexico City has fallen. How do they have no supply on their own capital? Please, somebody tell me in the comment section what is going on with Mexico. How are they struggling so much in their own territory? Wow, we're actually closer to victory than defeat. And there they go. With these troops defeated, these units will all move up to this front line, and I think that's all she wrote. Another encirclement in Chihuahua, we like to see it. I think that's pronounced Chihuahua. Oh, but they are starting to push me back a little bit. Do we think America is okay with this? Or do you think they've kind of accepted the situation for what it is? I'm not sure how much say they really have in the matter now. Okay, splitting the country in two. Now that makes this a giga encirclement. We must be close now. Oh, 95%. Right, just a few more cities, and the deed is done. And that is that. So I think I'll take my cored and claimed territory. There is a new releasable we can actually take a look for ourselves in the form of the Republic of the Rio Grande. A nice Mexican puppet. I will take a navy. And with that, we should be good to go. Now that is a very peculiar looking Central American empire. We are missing just a tidbit there. And here we see the Cynicist Republic of the Rio Grande, a new releasable. And so we find ourselves with a bit of a conundrum, because I feel like we are about as strong as we're ever going to get in comparison to the United States. Currently they're only fielding about, I'd say, 40 to 50 divisions. And the final 2 corps that you might actually want to go for, Belize or British Honduras, and the Panama Canal, are currently under their control. So the question is, how confident do we feel about winning a war against them? I've started conscripting as many Mexicans as I can, but even then, I just don't have any confidence. I mean, my goodness, how many units is that? Quite a lot, if I'm gonna say. I mean, I must be fielding over 70 divisions, but my divisions are just not good. I have no hope. You know what? Win today or lose today, I at least can try to maybe get all of our corps. I appear to have my war goal ready. I guess we org up and see what happens. I'm sure it will be fine. It's not like they're going to instantly join the... You know what, Japan? Sure, this time you can help. I expect 0 help from Japan. Unsurprisingly, it's kind of a failing line. With 0 preparation, oh my goodness, they took a tile. And Belize has fallen. Sadly, the Panama Canal, the Americans refused to let go of it. Still, if they're going to leave openings in the line, I'm going to take them. Phoenix, Arizona has fallen. I can't even speak to what is happening over here. I literally cannot even explain. Is this winning? Is this losing? Oh, they appear to have abandoned the Panama. Maybe they saw they were in a bit of trouble. Maybe, just maybe, That would be funny. Oh my goodness. Predictable naval invasions as predicted. But we took the Panama Canal, taken. And that is a unified Central American empire. Every single core, including a claimed state, has been taken. This war, however, is completely and utterly lost. So, I think this is a victory. I had no intentions of beating the United States of America. That is way too big a pie for this small Babino nation. And so, with that bittersweet conclusion, I think I will end it here and say thank you very much for watching. This has been the reworked Formable nation for the Central American Empire. If you liked this video, feel free to like, feel free to subscribe, and I will see you all next time. You didn't actually expect me to win this front, did you? Oh. Bye.